Hello and welcome to a video that is called Point Primer Part 1. This will be the first video in a series of 4 where we discuss how to use points statistically and geocomputationally from within ArcGIS 10.6. So first of all, we'll create a few points in Excel, just sort of on random points, and then we will try to plot them to be forced to convey to some predetermined geography that we already got. But this is the framework we'll start with. So basically we got X, Y and value. Could be anything really. So in order to make a matrix of points, values that we can use to create a shapefile, it's literally just to enter values. But what we can do to make it more easy is to do a random seed, so we get something different each time, and multiply it with, say, 10,000. If we do this, we get a value, and it could be spread to the next, and thereafter sort of dragged down. So I get, in this case, 21 unique points. They might, in fact, be on top of each other, because there's nothing that says that two random values can't be the same when it comes to x, y, but the likelihood is, of course, extremely small. When it comes to the value, it could be anything. Again, we can do a random, and we could multiply it with 10 this time to make it a little bit smaller. And there we have a few values. If we want to make them into something that haven't got the decimals, it's simple for us to actually just enter the value, not the value, but the function round, and go to the end and say how many decimals we want. In this case, 0. And as we enter, we could see the value is truncated to only have integers. And of course, that could be done also for the value, the third column. If we now go to point box, we could see what it looks like if we try to control the points so that they fall within a specific frame or box. In this case, we've specified an X minimum and an X maximum and a Y maximum and a Y minimum. So the values will fall within if I do a random description a little bit like this. If you look for the X values, we could see I'm using the minimum value of X, that falls here is 1,624,000. And then I do the plus and the in-between of the max and minimum, multiply with a random value. In this way, I can then create any value that fall between the maximum value, in K, in this case there, and the minimum value. The same logic, of course, applies for the Y, but in this case, just to show it works, rather than using sort of the fixed values, I'm using the cell references, and including the dollars means that I lock the cell references, so it's very easy for me to move if I go here and just click it down. So make sure that all the values always are locked in the same ways. As you can see in this case, there are the formulation is stuck with the green H4 and blue H13, regardless at what cell we enter to. These values, the X and Y, correspond to the Swedish reference system RT90, which is an old one, but still, these ones communicate the number of meters from the equator, and these one from an imaginary line in the west coast, west of Sweden and Norway. And the values are simply sort of randomly created ones. So we got two different sets. We got points, and we got points boxed to be forced to be within a specific framework that would be able to be displayed in an ArcGIS setting, in this case in the Stockholm area. So we now move to the ArcGIS setting for the next round. So now I've moved to ArcMap, and the first thing I'll do, I'll open up the Excel files, or the tabs from them. We have the points and we have the points boxed. So I drag first and foremost the points one in, and thereafter the points boxed. I start by right-clicking on the points and display X and Y data. These ones haven't really got any reference system, but nevertheless it now suggests, because it's one of my standards, RT90. So I'll accept that, and X is X and Y is Y, and if I click OK and accept it, the random selection of points will look like this. This, however, ends up on the equator, which is very, very far from Sweden is located. So if we, in the next point, do a point boxed, and right click display X and Y data, accept the X to X, Y to Y settings and click OK. They will not show up on this map. You have to right click and zoom to layer, and you've got another point of distribution. To show that this is in fact within the area that we are looking for, I've been doing a few boxes. This is the one for the Swedish case, and this is the line. I'm getting a warning for transformation, it doesn't really matter. But if I right click and go zoom to layers, we could see that I created 3 boxes over the greater Stockholm area. You just have to believe me on that. I'm not going to show the Stockholm area. But as you can see, the points are confined to be the area within the top, bottom, rightmost and almost leftmost. The definition sort of glitched a little bit because I was truncating it to the nearest kilometer. So as you can see, these 2 ways of creating random points actually works fairly well. Now, I can also create random points from within ArcMap, so it really depends on what kind of feature you're looking for, whether you're going to choose to do it from within ArcMap or doing it in a standalone software as Excel. In this case, we will simply do generate random points or create random points, and the easiest way of doing it is going for the search tool. I'll go for create random. Let's see if we get create random points. So if I click this one, it opens up a function and suggests a location where I can save it. The only thing I need to do in this case, and I need to give it a name, and I'm going to call it random points. Like that. It could be just random, or it could also be constrained, so I can actually choose that the points will be confined to the in this case the box. I've got the 3 boxes. So if I choose that one, I'm not being able to define the tops, the top areas and lower area, but I make sure that I've got the number of points per box. In this case, 100. So if we choose to go with this, the randomness of points will instead be the random distribution of exactly 100 points per box. I think that's kind of an interesting setting, so let's go for that kind of value. I click OK, and I take away this one, and very soon you'll be able to see a lot of points. We just have to believe the software that there are in fact 100 points being randomly distributed in the settings. There are of course so many different ways we could create points. We can transform the boxes that we've got and the lines to points. One way of doing it is to have the feature vertices to points. If I click the value already chosen, in this case I can go for the box and make sure to give it another value because it's already been tested. And as you can see, I can choose what kinds of points that will be generated. In this case, if I choose all, the corners of the box will be plotted as points, but as you can see there are very many different options. You can also do it with lines. So by clicking this, we see that we enter values in each of the locations of the corners of the boxes. We can also create, let me see, we can generate points along lines. In this case, we've got the line that floats around from within the scene, and I can choose percentages or distances. Since I'm not exactly aware of the number of meters in the dataset, I'll go for the percentages. If we go for say 2 percentages, we'll have 50 points. So for every 2% of the total length, we will have 1 point being produced. And to make sure that we've got not identical names, I'll choose another one, and I also include endpoints. I click OK and think a little bit, and eventually, as you could see, we create points that fall within the lines. So these are the first sort of representations of how you can create lines for further use in statistical analysis in ArcMap. Not really an analysis, but an introduction to various kinds of views to how you may construct them. And with these kinds of things, we also end part 1 of the point primer. Thank you.